Okie dokie. So this is part 2 of my AvaTaur lower body tutorial. This is assuming you already have a Unity package or a Unity document with AvaTaur imported, Final IK stub imported, and you've imported your little humanoid upper body half. It should still have its leg bones. It should have all the bones necessary for it to be identified as a humanoid rig, just because I don't want to futz around with something that isn't. What you'll want to do is you'll download either the hoof version or my just the normal version of the body. And to import that, you're going to go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and then you're going to navigate to wherever it's downloaded, and you'll import that. I've already got it in here, so I don't need to import it right now. But it's pretty easy. It shouldn't take long. It's super small. And as for how you're going to set this bad boy up, just make a new Unity scene and drag your lower body, your upper body here. I've already got that. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to drag that into, this is the body main prefab. You're going to drag this in. This is going to go into the AvaTaur controller prefab to make it all work out together. First things first, I got a little bit of a clipping here because I have remade this. It doesn't fit my guy anymore. I've gone ahead and added a couple more blend shapes for both versions of the lower body mod, and you can follow this tutorial for both the hoof version or the paw version. They are done exactly the same. They're just different meshes. You can use some of these to toy around with adjusting the overall shape of where the human hips would meet the tar hips. I assume most people, if you don't want to edit something in Blender and you just want to get straight to it, and you don't want to edit the AvaTaur itself, you can use base.flattened or base.flattened.type2, and that just kind of rounds it out, and so your stuff will ideally just kind of schlump right in there. I'm just going to mix and match these a little bit because I like having this little, it kind of gives it a smoother transition into the upper body. You can move this around a little bit. That's what I did. I moved this around for my first one and it was okay. It didn't, break anything too bad. But I've just added the mesh of this body to kind of just fit right where it meets into the lower body. I'm not going to go over the Blender editing half. I've already got that going in another video before this, so I'm just going to call this little demo. This all assumes you've got the Final IK stub, you've got your AvaTaur already imported, and this is for the 2025 update from where Vox made everything update and work with VRC Fury. So this is going to go based on that. The old version works the old way. If you want to use the old version of the AvaTaur, we need to get the controller from the AvaTaur, which will be under Assets, AvaTaur, Base Pack, 1 Base, Prefabs. And this is your AvaTaur controller. It should be 250304. That's the version that is 2025. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this prefab of the AvaTaur controller into our practically blank scene. I've got Gesture Manager here just so I can test things. You can add that with your VRChat Creator Companion. Here's your AvaTaur controller, and this put body options in here is where you want to put your body main prefab. It needs to be named body main, otherwise stuff will break. So that's why my prefab in my little folder here is body main. You can also just drag it straight into here after you pull in the. You'll also want to put your upper body in there as well for the mesh and stuff. I'm going to unpack this because I'm going to move the armature. Prefab unpack. There. So this is so we can grab our guy's little armature here. And in the AvaTaur controls, we're going to go to animation armature, and we're just going to keep expanding until we get to hips holder here. This has a bunch of hips stuff in it. And I'm going to go, let's see if I can find hips link, hips holder. I believe this is where you want to put it because this is where your hips bone is. This might depend on if you're rigging it to the humanoid hips, which is what I did for this guy, or if you're rigging it to the TAR's front hips, which is not what I did. But you're going to move your armature just to be a little child here of this hips underscore holder, which is, again, under the animation armature, root animation, hips, hips holder, and then hips bones, hips link, hips holder. And that's where you're going to put your armature. I've done it with the armature still down here, but I believe putting it in the hips holder will help fix potential jank. I saw that Fox recommended to do so, so that is what I'm going to be doing. So from this point, you're going to expand your armature here, and you're going to do the painfully tedious part. I'll start with the head, just because that's an easy one. So on my head bone here, I'm going to add a component, and it's going to be a, you can search rotation here, and it's got to be a VRC rotation constraint. Don't use the normal ones, just use this. And what this is going to do is this is going to make this head bone, copy the rotation of the AvaTaur's humanoid armature head bone. If you move bones around in the AvaTaur, it's gonna break animations and stuff. You're just not gonna have a good time. That's why I'm using constraints. It's not the most efficient way to go about it, but it's just a way. You're going to need to add the reference that it wants to follow here, so you're gonna do that in sources. You're gonna open, you got your bone selected, you added a component, and we're gonna add to this list. And in this list, we're going to add, what is this, the head? So I'm going to search head. There's a lot going on the back end of this. But we're going to use these ones that have the 3 dashes. We're going to do head dash 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 holder dash dash dash. And that is what I want my head bone to follow. So once I've got that in there, I'm just going to tell it to activate. I also kind of like to start with the ear bones, if it has ears, just because it's easy for me to see. Adding a constraint here, adding a source, gonna add ear. This is the left ear. This one here, ear holder. I'm gonna tell it to activate. I'm gonna add one to this other ear here. I'm going to use the gesture manager. You can, again, install that with your creator companion. And I'm just gonna give this a test, and if the ears are twitching in there, that means I'm doing it the right way. Or at least a way that will work. May not be the most efficient. Okay, so the ears are twitching, which means, I've at least got this somewhat working. I usually like to play around with the poses. Yeah, see, the head will follow some stuff, the ears, because I've already added those, but the rest of the body still needs all that good stuff. And that is what we're going to be doing. But you're literally just going to go through fingers and all. Add a source. What is this stuff? Spine. And it does help to have the armature in here as reference. You might hear a beeper go off, that's my alarm. I'm going to turn on names here just so I know what's what. Yeah, so I want my spine here to follow this spine. Chest. It's only got a spine and a chest bone from my understanding. Now, the bones of your upper body probably won't match the AvaTaurs, so that's why it's good to kind of have this as reference. I might doodle a little stick figure example just so we know what bones are what. For example here, my shoulder bone is actually a collar for the AvaTaurs. Collar. Is that the left one there? Gonna keep going. The arm is gonna be, I think it's L underscore arm. Lower arm is elbow, L elbow. I assume this one's going to be wrist. And the hands are probably the most tedious. And make sure you're putting the actual human thumbs and not like the lower paw thumb. Now also, the AvaTaur only has 2 thumb bones. Like 2 bones, was it 2 bones per finger? Something about how the hands curl. Okay, so I think I've got all of my rotation constraints added. Just a nice long list and make sure all of them are active and stuff. And now I'm gonna throw this in play mode and see how that works. I'd be very surprised if you get all of them working on the first try. As you can see, one of my left ring finger here has got something funky going on. But the nice thing about having the gesture manager here is you can tell it to test all these. Yeah, something's going up there. I like to play around with these poses just to see how things are fitting. Yep, see, there it is. I accidentally put the foot ring finger on there. Should have deactivated that before I did that. As you can see, I've got some jank happening here with this ring finger that I was having issues with. Compare it to the normal one, it should just be straight out, but this one's kind of crooked. My recording didn't save my fixing this finger, so I've gone ahead and just busted it again. So, depending on what bone you accidentally put in here, you might break the entire thing, and I don't know how to fix it if it's like that level of broken. But, so, as you can see, the ring finger here isn't moving like the other one. And sometimes, oh, it's not doing it now, but, or at least the last time, what it just did where it was twisted and completely rotated, usually it's because the bone orientation got messed up. It's like this got all twisted, and what if I don't know the... So let's say I've rotated this, and it's all kinds of jank. That is where I will pull in the body again, the upper body, and I will just navigate to the bone in the upper body that is acting up, and I will just copy this stuff in, say, Notepad here. That way it kind of resets it. I'm sure there's another way to reset the bone orientation, but this is the only way I know how to do it. And then I'll just go back. Oh, see, I have to deactivate this. I'm just going to deactivate 0.89. That was like 0.6 or something. This one was negative 2.742. And I'll just plonk that stuff back. Basically, just delete the constraints. Grab this, copy the bone orientation, and paste it back into whatever bone is all jank. But if the body is super busted when it's in there, and it's like the actual AvaTaur itself, I have no idea what to do about that.